earthquake measuring 5.8 on the Richter scale has struck just off the Queensland coast. Families from Cairns to Rockhampton felt the tremor that lasted for up to 30 seconds.
2:30 p.m. and a normal day at work in Mackay gets a shake-up. The magnitude 5.8 earthquake strong enough to send goods flying from the shelves at this IGA in Townsville. The quake, the largest in the state in 20 years, struck 70 kilometres off the coast of Bowen, but tremors were felt from afar north as Cairns down to Rockhampton. It sent people running from hotels, offices and pubs.
I was sitting on the lounge with my son and it just shook and shook, heaps of times. It was awful, horrible.
I was just doing some cleaning and all the glasses started shaking on top of the coffee machine.
On Hayman Island, guests were evacuated to the tennis courts. More fun than drama. Mackay Mayor Greg Williamson was mid-interview when the quake struck. Listen to the building rumble in the background.
What we're doing with the first principles.
By 5 p.m, there had been 6 aftershocks, one of them caught on camera on Hamilton Island.
Mainly reports of loose objects falling off shelves and moving about, but shaking that lasted up to approximately 30 seconds in some cases.
Despite the rumble from deep below, there was no risk of a tsunami to Australia. North Queenslanders, in the end, treating the incident in typical North Queensland style. Shannon Marshall McCormack, 9 News.
Tornadoes hit central Indiana, the storm that's caused so much damage, including ripping through several communities in Hendricks County. And tonight, the stunning video as we take you inside the storm that's covered over 70 miles just south of Danville to north of Marion, Indiana. And new pictures coming in tonight of homes damaged, trees down. And the remarkable word tonight that not a single person was hurt in this powerful storm. RTV6 has had complete coverage all day long, and that continues tonight with team coverage. We begin with RTV6's Liz Adiola live in Brownsburg. Liz?
Well, Erica, power still has not been restored to this Brownsburg community. As you can see, there are tree limbs still on the ground. I'm going to use this flashlight so you can see some of them that are still in the front yards of people out here in this community. And as bad as the front yards look, the backyards, some of the backyards look even worse. You could hear chainsaws going for hours out here as people work to try and clean up the mess you see right here. All of these tree limbs and all of the trees, they're trying to chop them up to tackle this huge, massive cleanup effort. And even so, there were some people who were out here while they were cleaning up. They shared with me that they saw that tornado coming and they ran for cover.
I saw it form from our backyard, and then we ran to the bathroom to hide.
My daughter called me to tell me it was coming this way. I was sitting in the family room and I seen my canopy come up over the top of the house, so I grabbed my dog and we went to the hallway.
Really quickly it changed and debris was flying and we ran to the bathroom and then you could hear it. It was pretty loud.
People say it only lasted a few minutes here in Brownsburg, but the tornado left quite a mess that will take hours, if not days, to clean up. You could see trees uprooted, tree limbs ripped apart, strewn across lawns, trucks, and even on top of houses. One man's trees came up along with the grass, and just look at this strange hill-like formation that was left. The wind so powerful, it flipped this pontoon boat over. When the winds died down, power saws revved up as residents worked to clear the mess from their yards.
You don't know our yard, but people told us it was beautiful. You know, all the flowers, the whole 9 yards of it. And just all them years, 20 years gone down drain.
I'm past getting upset. There's no use. There's nothing you can do about it. It happens no matter what.
And many people out here in Rolling Acres stepped up to help their neighbors. Even though they may not have been hit by this tornado, they stepped up to help with this cleanup effort. I even saw some Red Cross volunteers canvassing the area to give some relief and some aid to those people who are still without power tonight, looking for shelter, looking for a place to stay. And even through all of this, people here in this community say they are grateful and happy that no one was hurt in this storm. Erica?
Liz, thank you. And from Brownsburg in Hendricks County, the storm moved northeast, eventually causing major damage to one man's property in Boone County. And that's where we find RTV6's Chance Walser tonight. He joins us live now from near Whitestown. Chance, what's it like there?
From what I'm hearing, this barn that's along 500 South near Whitestown is the major victim of this storm, at least in this area. You can see the entire structure is basically leveled for all intents and purposes. There's also several pieces of equipment that were damaged as well. This tractor, not cheap. There's several pieces of equipment behind me. Also, not cheap. 2 semi-trailers were under this barn. They're severely damaged. Those weren't cheap. And there's a huge grain bin just beyond the light of what you can see just behind this pile of rubble that was also damaged beyond repair. The property owner tells me he's looking at damage well into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. Here's a look at where I'm standing right now from Skycam 6 earlier this evening. The property owner told me damage estimates, again, well over $100,000. He said his family did the smart thing and hunkered down in the basement when the storm rolled through, and described it like what else? A freight train, as you hear so often. Before the storm hit Boone County, it touched down near the Hendricks County town of Clayton. Some cell phone video of that tornado here that did significant damage to the garage of a house just west of State Road 39. Here's a look at that garage damage, too. The storm also took down a large tree, and witnesses in that area feel like those who live right there are lucky to be alive.
But I called it in the second it dropped out, and then the sirens went off, and next thing I knew, there were 4 state policemen on 39 and 400, and there were the Clayton Fire Department was out here, and I guess there was a couple people in this garage, and you know, thank God they got out of that.
Back here in Boone County now live, where at least one property owner has a lot of damage to clean up. Keep in mind, we're not 2 miles right now from where a spring tornado touched down in April, destroying another barn and several houses, again, just about a couple of miles east of here. Needless to say, area residents growing very weary of this extreme 2016 weather. Live near Whitestown tonight, Chance Walser, RTV6.
And now to that amazing video of the storms as they move through. Our Storm Team 6 meteorologist working for you, tracking these storms second by second for nearly 3 hours today, including this one right here as it hit live in Hamilton County around 246th Street. So let's take you inside those storms right now, starting with Chief Meteorologist Kevin Gregory.
And we'll start in Hendricks County, Erica, from Clayton all the way north into Boone County. There were 11 reports of funnel clouds and tornadoes. First started around 5:40 to 6:30. Now, as often the case in Indiana, in my 27 years of working at RTV6, we often see the damage, but we rarely see the tornado like this. Claire Hoover out in Hendricks County getting dramatic video. 2 things stick out. One, it's not rain wrapped. It's not obscured because of the rain. You can look to the southwest and you see the brighter sky as the result then of the sun on the back end. So this was at the very southwest end of the thunderstorm that was moving to the northeast. The survey teams will go out tomorrow and determine if this one supercell then produced several tornadoes that touched down and how long these tornado tracks may have been. But this is just one dramatic view of a tornado this evening in Hendricks County. It was about 7:15 or so that this was happening in Hamilton County. Kyle?
And Kevin, yeah, our photojournalist Jason Scheuer was there just west of 31 along 256th Street as the tornado was developing, very close to that area of circulation. And what you'll notice here, you can see the debris that's flying through the sky there from behind him. It's actually flowing into that tornado there as it was developing. And you can also see kind of the waves there, the cornfield, as those strong winds were getting pulled in, and that center of circulation as that tornado was developing very close. So another thing that we noticed from these storms today, they didn't have really any hail with them and very little in the way of lightning, but just very dramatic video there as you can see the strong winds kicking up with that part of the system and that part of the tornado as it tracked into northwestern parts of Hamilton County. And again, going to be very interesting to see what the survey teams find tomorrow. Erica.
It was amazing to watch that play out live. Thank you, Kyle. And that tornado in Hamilton County narrowly misses one man, knocking over a tree into his house. It happened on Jim Hamilton's property near 6 Points Road and West 246th Street. That's just northwest of downtown Sheridan. Hamilton describes those frightening moments as he tried to get his family to safety.
You could hear like a freight train coming, so we went down, got in the cellar with my kids, came back out, and as you can see, it literally went right around my house, ripped that tree out. My mailbox is still standing and my truck's all right, so we're in good shape, I think.
And the good news is that nobody was injured in this close call in northern Hamilton County. Now take a look at this unbelievable video from a viewer in Brownsburg. Now this is the tornado that hit Hendricks County. This is in Brownsburg near State Road 267 and Highway 136. This is a great look at that tornado right here. Our viewers today really helping us tell this story. And the same tornado later moving into Boone County. This is video from our Skycam 6 of a barn destroyed in Whitestown. Now this right here just shows you how far the storm really moved. And later going into Tipton and Grant counties. These are pictures right here of the tornado in Grant County. Dan Gadberry sent these to us tonight.
People in southern Louisiana are beginning to salvage what they can after that catastrophic flooding. The overwhelming devastation of the historic event is coming into full view. The death toll has climbed to 11. At least 40,000 homes have been damaged, and the number of people rescued from the rising water has jumped to more than 30,000. Flood warnings are posted in the southern half of the state, and some areas could see more rain today. Omar Villafranca is in Sorrento, south of Baton Rouge, with the continuing threat. Omar, good morning.
Good morning. The water is actually starting to recede here in Sorrento. It's knee-high here. Farther down, it's about waist-high. Now, later on this morning, search crews are going to start going door to door, looking for people who did not evacuate, and they're worried that the death toll will rise. The flooding crisis punishing southern Louisiana intensified Tuesday. 16 more parishes were added to the federal disaster declaration. Here in Sorrento, floodwaters have rushed downstream, devastating the small community and leaving the local fire chief at a loss for words.
We're losing a bunch of homes, a lot of.
National Guard troops carried out more rescues in Baton Rouge. So far, 30,000 people have been saved. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards says many have still been reluctant to evacuate.
People who live in homes that have never flooded don't leave their homes when you warn them of an impending flood.
What do you tell the 11,000 people who are still in shelters right now?
That we are moving heaven and earth to get them back in their homes as soon as possible.
2 days of record rainfall dumped more than 2 feet of rain in parts of Louisiana.
The people here work hard for what they got, and to see them lose it because of this, it's hard.
On Sunday, volunteers rescued Mary Ellen Morgan and her family. Tuesday, we found her at the now flood-damaged home. Lose any of your personal belongings?
I don't even know.
Do you care?
No, I don't. We are safe. We are well. I mean, how much more blessed could one person be?
The cleanup here will take months, and so far 60,000 people have signed up for FEMA assistance. But the immediate danger is not over because there is more rain in the forecast.
Since Tuesday, the fire east of Los Angeles has burned 127 square kilometers of land, parched by California's 5-year-long drought. More than 1,300 firefighters are battling the flames, which are only 4% contained. They've been fanned by dry winds made worse by low humidity.
In my 40 years of fighting fire, I've never seen fire behavior so extreme.
More than 80,000 residents have been ordered to evacuate their homes under a state of emergency declared by California's governor.
Yeah, it was scary. So I just left. I just got my pictures, my dogs, and left.
8 new large fires were reported in California and 7 other western states on Wednesday. This fire season in California promises to be as serious as the one last year, which consumed 28,000 square kilometers.
We're out in San Bernardino County where this fire just picked up steam yesterday. It started about 10:30 a.m. local time yesterday. So less than 24 hours, it has ballooned to over 30,000 acres that have been burned. I want to show you behind me just what it kind of looks like now that the sun has crested this hillside here. But you can see where the stuff in front here, the structure, you can barely tell what was inside there, has been burnt. There's still smoke coming out of it. You can see that there's a house just beyond that. This is a community that's right off of Interstate 15. So for a lot of people who like to travel between Los Angeles and Las Vegas, this would be off that route that you would take. Well, here's the big thing. Interstate 15 is closed, and the person I spoke with from the fire department this morning said it may stay like that for a couple of days simply because there's red flag warnings in here, and so they think it'd be too dangerous to have that traffic open. So for people who want to take that route, it's probably going to be too much. But take a look at this post right here. It's still smoking, still crackling. You can feel the heat off of it. I wish you could feel how hot it is, but this is what they're up against, and that's why you've had over 82,000 people have been evacuated, and some 34, more than that, 1,000 homes have been evacuated because of the fact that this fire is fast moving. As the sun gets up, Carol, and starts baking in here in this high desert area, more than likely the fire is going to rage back to life. We went from 18,000 last night before we went to sleep to 30,000 this morning. They are looking for it to grow some more, and at this point, it's not even contained, Carol.
This is an incredible sight on display as you see a volcano in Mexico erupting, spewing ash and smoke hundreds of feet into the air.
What will we do without webcams? This happened yesterday at the Popocatépetl volcano in Mexico. So easy to say. About 55 miles outside of Mexico City. According to the National Center for Disaster Prevention in Mexico, there have been as many as 73 eruptions from this volcano in recent days.
Meanwhile, in Russia, we actually had a little bit of flooding in Moscow. This was on Tuesday, and you can see you got a Hummer going there, and then just a guy wakeboarding behind it. No big deal there. Okay, so obviously this is a little bit on the dangerous side. I can understand the side of wanting to have a little bit of fun. You know, it's kind of a different situation. You see a little bit of water in kind of an urban area like this. It's not like there's a big flowing area of water coming across a roadway. I still wouldn't suggest driving through it, but the thing that always scares me the most about these situations is just the quality of the water. You know, like if you fall off the wakeboard, there's just so much gross stuff in the water. You know, some of the flooding that's been going on in Louisiana over the last couple of days, people have been getting rashes and needing to be treated for kind of unknown things. So you never know what's in that stuff. It's actually a little bit on the dangerous side.
You feel the heat. I mean, you're so close that you feel the heat and you smell super funny. It's like, I don't know, it's like welding or something, but yeah, it's very special feeling. The whole thing is super different than all the things I've done before.
Kilauea volcano has been erupting essentially non-stop since 1983, so the eruption has been going on for over 33 years now. The current flow, though, that's going into the ocean erupted from a vent on the flank of Pu'a'o in late May 2016. And just a couple of months later, on July 26th, the lava made its way all the way to the sea.
Oh, beautiful morning out there today. We had a brand new ocean entry. The previous flow is named Kamo'omo. I think they're going to keep with that. But about 150 to 200 yards down the coastline, we had quite a display. I'd say at about 200-foot cliff, lava dripping over in 2 different spots. And the time we were there this morning, it really started to spread out.
Yeah, so Kilauea is erupting from 2 different locations. Never a dull moment with Pele up here. Right behind me, you can see the summit crater. That's Halemaumau crater, and that has been erupting pretty much nonstop since 2008. That eruption is very different from what you see out on the coastal field. On the coastal flow field, those are all surface lava flows. Everybody wants to see the lava flow, but not everybody should be hiking out there. You do need to be relatively fit to be able to handle, you know, a 9 or 10 mile round trip hike. You know, you can't roll a stroller out there, so people are having to carry their children.
The world of manufactured relationships is a step away from real life.
But some take it even further. Hiroyuki Nomura is in his 50s, but there is a girl in his life who makes him feel young again.
She's the first girl I welcomed into my life. If not for her, I wouldn't have my current friends or much fun. That's why Tisei is special.
Yes, Tisei isn't your average girl. She's 25 kilograms of silicon.
At first, she was just a doll I bought from a store, but I began to feel affection for her. She's not a girlfriend or a daughter, but Tisei is very important.
Tisei is not his only object of affection. Hiroyuki used to love buying motorbikes. Now his passion is collecting doll characters from his favourite animation shows.
When you buy the doll, the face is plain. I have to paint the eyes to give them a soul and character. When you dress her, comb her hair, it feels as though a soul dwells in her and she's alive.
Hiroyuki says living with these 17 dolls is more exciting than his job as a window cleaner.
This is not a power relationship. I think people choose dolls because reality is harsh.
Hiroyuki takes his dolls on holidays around Japan with other collectors. He hopes by being public, it dispels the image of doll fans as weird recluses.
Before my collection grew, they felt like a family. With so many of them, it feels like they're an idol group and I'm their manager and photographer. It makes me happy when people come and say, I like your dolls. I like taking long trips in my car to see the reactions of people. Most people are generally nice, and I only get mean messages online.
What's hard to ignore is their girlish appearance. It makes me wonder if Japan creates unrealistic expectations of women through dolls, idols, and maid cafes.
The dolls are young because it meets the public's demand. They are school age because animation films wouldn't sell if characters were in their 30s. It could be the reason why men go for idol groups. I think many men are disappointed by real women.
Have you been in a relationship with a human?
No, I didn't like something that complicated. I couldn't get myself interested in pouring my energy into a relationship. The dolls have a healing quality and make me smile when I come home.
But men like Hiroyuki, who live in a fantasy world, are often blamed for Japan's low marriage and birth rates.
I'm not looking for a real partner because lots of people are unhappy after getting married. I think you should decide how to live your life. I don't care about the pressure to get married in Japan, because if you care, you won't enjoy life.
Russia says its long-range bombers like these carried out airstrikes in Syria against ISIS after taking off for the first time from a base in northwest Iran. Russian aircraft, according to the U.S., struck in Aleppo, Idlib, and Deir ez-Zor. The Russians notified the U.S. they were flying into Syria. Moscow insisted it is going after ISIS. The U.S. disagrees.
We have not struck targets in Aleppo in a very long time. We have not struck targets in Idlib in a very long time, if we have at all. We don't see concentrations of ISIS in those areas.
Secretary of State John Kerry called his Russian counterpart to raise concern about using Iran's airbase.
That it complicates what is already a tense, complicated situation.
Publicly, Russia wants the U.S. to agree to joint operations, especially near Aleppo, where tens of thousands of civilians are trapped. The Russian defense minister says Moscow is in very active negotiations with the U.S.
That's his messaging on what he wants to happen to gain an upper hand, as Russia always attempts to do when they're in these kind of negotiations.
Tonight, the State Department said the U.S. is continuing to pursue an agreement. But the U.S. military has been skeptical of any deal with the Russians because of the continued bombing of civilians and anti-Assad rebel groups rather than ISIS targets. The U.S. believes Moscow is still aiming at bolstering the Syrian leader, Bashar al-Assad.
We're nowhere close to reaching a final agreement while they continue to bomb civilian facilities, especially hospitals, which they have done within the last couple of weeks.
If the Russians hope to unnerve the U.S. by using an Iranian airbase to show more cooperation with Tehran, U.S. officials say it did not work. CNN has learned U.S. intelligence assets, including aircraft like these AWACS, were able to track the Russian military as it landed in Iran and throughout its bombing attacks inside Syria.
At 5:05, now to a story that has the whole world talking on social media. Brazilian authorities pulling 2 American Olympic athletes off a plane. It's all part of an investigation into Ryan Lochte's claim that he and some teammates were robbed. Lochte is already back here in the U.S., but 2 of his fellow swimmers who were with him at the time of the alleged robbery are now being questioned. Authorities seized Jack Conger and Gunnar Bentz's passports, pulled them off a plane bound for the U.S. Another swimmer, James Fagan, also had his passport seized and is cooperating with the investigation. Lochte says they were all returning from a club Sunday night when he says people in uniform, police uniforms, pulled their taxi over, flashed badges, and put a gun to Lochte's head, robbing them. Brazilian authorities say there is no evidence to support this, and Lochte's story doesn't add up.
I'm bound by U.S. law, by a law called the Privacy Act, and I cannot speak about anything regarding that.
U.S. State Department says it is monitoring the investigation. Brazilian authorities now investigating the swimmers for providing false testimony to police. The authorities in Brazil have left the door open for prosecution of all 4 men.